Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story, EP assaults me because the pool was closed and then gets arrested. The second story, I quit my job after my boss bullied me. The third story, entitled Idiot. I know the owner because her name is in the company name. The first story is, EP assaults me because the pool is closed. So, a little background information for you. 2 years ago, I was the head hotel manager for a hotel in a tourist town in Missouri. I made a deal with the owner that I would stay in the small one-bedroom apartment that was connected to the back of the hotel, and be on call when I'm not working. Cast, me equals me. Entitled mother equals EM. Entitled dad equals ED. Coworker equals CW. So my boss has a deal with a few charities around town that if there's a family displaced from their home for whatever reason, they can stay at the hotel for a month half off the normal price to help them find a new place to live. Just before my shift ended one day, a family came in with 2 kids and told me that blank charity sent them over here to get a room. All was good. The only time I would see them is if their kids went swimming in the pool, or they came down to grab their mail. About a week before their checkout date, I got word from my boss that he wants to drain the pool and have it cleaned. I made a sign outside the pool area and at the front desk explaining that the pool will close for 2 weeks starting the day the EPs move out. The week goes by and the day that EM and ED's checkout date arrives. EM walks up to the front desk. Me, how may I help you, ma'am? EM, we found a house, but it won't be ready for another month. How much is it for another month here in the hotel? Me, 1 month will be $600. EM, fine, I guess we can do that, but I'm just waiting for a few friends to lend me some money so we can afford it. Me, okay, no problem, ma'am. Just remember checkout is at 11 and the pool will be closed for the next 2 weeks. EM, whatever, she said as she walked off. At 11:30, the housekeeper called me on the radio informing me that the entitled parents had not left the room yet. I knocked and EM opened the door and apologized. She was about to make the payment for the room and was $200 short. She promised that she would find the money and I left, giving them more time. At 3 o'clock, EM came down to the front desk with the money and I began to put her back in the system. Me, just a heads up, the pool will be closed today and won't be open for another 2 weeks. She looks at me like this is new information. EM, you're closing your pool? I wasn't informed about this. Me, it's been posted for 2 weeks on the gate to get inside the pool and right here, I said while pointing to the sign. At this point I could tell that EM wasn't too sure about staying here anymore, and asked that she talk to ED before she decided whether she should stay. I couldn't hear what the lady was saying, but once she got done, she walked back over to me. EM, okay, we'll take the room. Me, great. I started finishing up the registration. Now are you sure? Because once I print this off, you'll have 30 minutes to change your mind or else we can't refund you your money. EM, of course I'm sure. I give her the receipt and move on with my day. At 6 o'clock, all hell breaks loose. I'm in my apartment when I get called on the radio with CW needing assistance in the lobby. The way she sounded, something was definitely wrong. By the time I get to the lobby, I see CW, who is nearly in tears, sitting on the couch terrified, with ED standing over her yelling at full volume, while EM stood next to the couch watching ED, while occasionally egging him on. Their 2 kids were standing by looking mortified about what was going on. I quickly run over to ED and CW and try to defuse the situation. Me, what's going on here? ED got off CW and was now staring at me. ED, this bee told me that my kids couldn't play in the pool. Me, first off, stop yelling and we can talk about this. ED, no, I paid $600 to stay here for a month and GD it, my kids deserve to be able to play in that pool. Me, the pool is closed, sir, and I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. EM, we should be able to stay here for free because the pool is closed. Me, ma'am, I told you the pool was gonna be closed before you paid for the next month. Plus, it was clearly on your receipt that you can't get a refund after 30 minutes. EM, that's your word against mine. Me, ma'am, I can't open the pool for you. The owner had me close it so it could be cleaned. ED, and does the owner know that you look like a W to the guest? Talking about my pajama pants and tank top. Me, sir, I'm gonna have to ask that you leave the hotel before I call the police. At this point, EM takes her kid's hand and practically pulls them out of the lobby and into the atrium part of the hotel, with ED following. The pool is surrounded by a 4-foot fence in the middle of the hotel. I told CW to call 911 while I made sure that they weren't trying to get into the pool. Sure enough, I could see ED over at the gate trying as hard as he could to force open the gate to the pool. Me, hey, leave the gate alone. That was all I got out when EM surprises me and pushes me into a table, which causes the table to fall with me on it. EM then walks over to ED and together they were able to get the gate opened. They then grab their terrified kids' hands and force them into the pool area and into the pool. I look around me to see a few of the guest doors open. I slowly got up and staggered into the lobby, and I could see outside through the front doors that 2 police cars had just pulled up. I told the officers where they could find ED and EM, and they quickly ran to grab them while I gave my statement to another officer. They came out of the pool cussing and screaming about how they wanted their refund, and how I should have told them that I never told them that the pool was closed. After showing the police the security footage of them, the police had everything they needed for an arrest. Both EM and ED arrested for disorderly conduct, destruction of private property, assault, and endangering the welfare of a child, since the video footage showed ED throwing his daughter into the pool when his daughter refused to get in. Plus, ED had warrants in the neighboring county for domestic assault. The 2 kids were picked up by their grandma and the room was cleared out. The grandma apologized to CW and me for everything that her daughter had did to us, and explained that EM was a sweet girl until she met ED. Oh my goodness, what a hilarious and chaotic story. It's like a scene straight out of a comedy movie. I can't believe that these entitled parents thought they could get away with not paying for their room because the pool was closed, even though they were informed about it ahead of time. And to top it off, they got angry and started yelling at everyone when they couldn't get their way. And let's not forget about the comment that ED made about the author's attire. What kind of person says something like that to someone who's just trying to do their job? It's outrageous. I'm glad that the author was able to handle the situation and get the police to arrest them. Great finale. The second story is, today I quit my job. I work in management in a support role for the president of a private large corporation. Since day one, I've been the go-to person for the executive I supported to put out fires of all sizes, typically involving questionable decision-making by cowboy managers set in their ways, and with many years at the company. As an advisor to this exec, I typically predicted bad outcomes, was often ignored, but always put out the fires. To protect my confidentiality, I won't go into details of the contributions I made and the high quality of my work, but let's just say some of these managers didn't like me much. Fast forward to yesterday and my manager calls me in to discuss my missing work recently a few times due to a series of serious personal issues, of which he and HR were aware. He then comes down on me super hard, insinuating that I was neglecting my duties and cheating the company due to my lack of communication while I dealt with these unforeseen events. At this point in the conversation, I'm left speechless at the sheer force and tone of the tirade, and I'm left deeply offended at the suggestion that there was malicious intent behind my circumstance, and I'm forced to open up about the details of my situation and the seriousness of what was going on in my life. This was not necessary since both my manager and HR were aware of everything, but in his words, it didn't seem like a big deal because I was holding it together emotionally and seemed fine. Fast forward to this conversation, and I feel bullied into opening up about the extent of my sadness, the SHness of my circumstance, and the general lack of support that I have, aka I'm dealing with these personal issues largely alone. I was left feeling emotional, humiliated, and exposed, and I resigned. My boss was utterly taken aback, accused me of being too emotional and not being able to handle difficult conversations, and essentially didn't let me go. I thought about it at home, realized that no amount of money could remedy this situation, wrote my resignation letter, and handed it in this morning. During my conversation with HR, it was basically confirmed to me that a certain manager doesn't like me because I've identified him as a liability, and because he generally sucks at his job and has terrible judgment. This dude's influence left me in a position where I could not offer unbiased counsel to my boss, without suffering the consequences of being badmouthed to him, while remaining responsible for the resolution of any and all issues caused by other people's incompetence and bad judgment. What an SHFing position to be in. There's no glory in predicting bad events when you lack the power to stop them from occurring yourself. Nobody remembers that you called it when they ignored it, and someone else gets the credit when they take your advice and avoid the issue. And when they ignore it, you still have to clean up the mess. So I decided to let people make mistakes. Why voice objections when the only thing it gets you is bad blood leading to a toxic work environment? Nothing speaks louder than absence, and I pity the HR monkey tasked with finding my replacement. Boy, was my manager shocked when he realized even I have limits, as if I haven't worked my A hard enough to replace this job. And in the end, it's all packaged to look like I can't handle difficult conversations. Sure, that's exactly what's going on here. Let's just say I'd rather jump ship than deal with the SH storm heading their way due to incompetent managers, and an inability to let people go based on performance, just because they've been around ages. People will tell themselves anything to protect their egos. Good riddance, effers. Don't forget your staplers when it all comes crashing down. You really gave it to them, didn't you? I mean, who needs a job when you can deal with personal issues and bad managers all alone, right? And let's not forget the satisfaction of watching everything crumble after you leave. Revenge is a dish best served cold, after all. But in all seriousness, it sounds like you were in a pretty crappy situation. Dealing with incompetent managers and trying to advise an executive who just wouldn't listen is enough to drive anyone to the brink. And the last story is my first I know the owner experience. I own a small housekeeping business that I put my clean freak daughter's name on. For the sake of the story, we'll call it Rachel's Clean Glove. We have one client on a fixed income, but she can't clean for herself. We'll call her SH for Sweetheart. So we work in trade for quilts and other treats. Rachel loves to go with because we just love her to the moon and back. One week we stopped by and her granddaughter, GD from here on, was there. While we were getting all of our supplies ready, GD walks up and says, "I expect you both to do an amazing job. I'm close friends with the owner, and if you don't do your very best, I'll have you both fired. Are we clear?" I've never seen her before in my life and ask her what the owner's name is. She tells us she goes to the church with Rachel. We didn't go to church, so we both just shrugged and went to work. GD kept peeking into the rooms we were working in, but not saying anything. After we each finish the smaller rooms and meet up to work on the open living room and kitchen, GD tells us to work quietly or she's going to call Rachel. My daughter and SH both chuckle and I told her to go ahead and do it, thinking maybe someone with the same name as my daughter said they were the owner. GD said she didn't want to bother her at work and for us to just keep it down. I had enough of her and made more noise and would have stopped if SH had said something. Rachel brought the vacuum into the living room and GD lost her mind, screaming that we were interrupting her shows, and if we don't stop, she'll have a word with Rachel and have both of us fired immediately. Rachel's an incredibly kind person, and when she wants to hit someone, she puts her hands in her pockets, closes her eyes and counts to 10, and as soon as GD opened her mouth, I saw her do just that. I tell her that I know 100% for a fact Rachel is just standing around with her hands in her pockets doing absolutely nothing, but trying to hold her tongue, and the owner's not in a good mood, so pick which one she's going to call, Rachel or the owner. She screams Rachel is the owner or her name wouldn't be on the business. SH tells her Rachel is the owner's teenage daughter, since she has a cleaning addiction and the business was named after her, and the owner and Rachel are the only two who come to her house so we can continue to work in trade. GD looked at us all in shock and ran outside. The reason for this post is to vent. GD lacks self-awareness so much that I just threw away her application. Haha, GD got a taste of her own medicine. It's always amusing when someone thinks they have more power than they actually do. I guess it's a lesson for her not to make assumptions and jump to conclusions. On the bright side, at least she won't be applying for a cleaning job anytime soon. Thanks for sharing this hilarious story, it made my day. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.